The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
There's something that can be done as a possibility and it's going to benefit, then we'll try to connect those dots. You know what you're capable of, you've run at that pace, and now you have to redirect. Welcome to Moments of Strength. I'm your host, Mary Kaufman. In this show, we celebrate the incredible resilience of mothers, showing up through life's challenges, growing through every triumph, and carving out space for their own passions and identity. We're here to uplift and reassure every mom that you're not alone and that asking for help is a powerful strength. Each episode brings a story of motherhood's beautiful chaos. I'm happy you can join us for today's inspiring journey. And today we welcome Kim. Kim, thank you for coming.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so happy you reached out. And we've actually lived here. We've never crossed paths. You've been here in this space before, but it's nice to have you here on my show. So thank you so much.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So in this show, really we share life experiences of moms, mostly to uplift each other and to provide stories that other parents can grow from, pull suggestions from, pull strength from. We're all living this individual journey, but we have many common things that we go through as parents. And so this platform really is to share your experience and your journey through motherhood. So thank you for coming.
Thanks so much. I'm excited for the conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so just want to start out, if you can talk a little bit about how you grew up, that helps connect paths that come down the road, so we can't really escape from the things that either were imposed on us or that we chose when we were young. We can choose different paths, but those things will always be there. So if you can talk a little bit about how you grew up, as much or as little as you'd like to share.
Yeah, no, I'm very blessed to have had a amazing childhood. I grew up as the baby of 8.
Oh my goodness.
One of 2 girls in a family with 8 children. My parents adopted 4 kids and then had 4 kids of their own. And so my sister is the oldest and I'm the youngest, so we sort of are the end caps.
Yes.
And we grew up in a tiny little town called Knowlton in the middle of the state.
Okay.
Kind of between Stevens Point and Wausau on Lake Dubay area.
Yeah.
So we have a huge family, and we also always had friends that were like family around. So I always say my parents' house was a open door.
Yeah, that's great.
Neighbors, friends, family, people from church. They also took in foster kids periodically, sometimes formally, sometimes informally, people just looking for a place temporarily. So grew up definitely around an environment of giving and caring for others, which was great. I went to Mosinee School District, and growing up, I don't know, when I look back, it's like kind of a dreamy upbringing. I was class president, I was prom queen, I was a 4.0 valedictorian.
That's great.
I was all-star basketball player, can't tell from sitting, but I'm 6 feet tall, and I played basketball in college at Marquette. So I had sort of like this ideal, perfect upbringing, little bumps around the road, but just a really good Midwestern small town life.
What is the age difference between you and your sister?
18 years.
Okay, so wide span.
Yeah.
Very nice. And then 6 brothers.
Yes. So I grew up very tomboy-y, very tough, because in the household, my sister was off when by the time I had memories, my sister was off living her adult life. So I was always the little girl with the big brothers. Yeah. So I played with G.I. Joes, and I don't think I owned a Barbie. All those typical little girl things I just didn't have. We went fishing, we dug in the dirt. My dad loved to build random things. So we always had like these crazy fun inventions that
great.
were in our house, and homemade go-karts and things like that we just roughed around with. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then you're the last one at home, so everybody kind of flew out of the nest.
Yeah.
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 And last one there.
Yeah.
I have a youngest sister who is 15 years younger than I am.
Okay.
And so the dynamic there is so different because she really had time with my parents, you know, alone. And they were different parents by then, even those same people. And so, yeah, it's just so interesting to see how the same parents raise their kids, because you're really different, you know. And when you're a parent of one, becoming a parent of two, you're also growing into that at the same time as them arriving with you. So yeah, those family dynamics are just so interesting. Yeah. So you played basketball in high school. Did you play other sports or focus mainly on basketball?
Yeah, I did. Basketball was my main sport, but I did cross country and track. But definitely mostly to condition for basketball. Youth sports are so different back then. Like youth sports now are
your life.
More than my life. More than I have time in my life sometimes. I love it, but it is a lot. And looking back at, I was very involved in, for what the level of it was then, it's nothing like the level now. So I often thank my parents for all the basketball tournaments and camps they took me to, because I didn't realize how much time and energy that took as a parent until it was me. But yeah, I have great memories of playing basketball and sports. I think sports really influenced a lot in my life, my leadership, my confidence, my ability to work as a team. Like there's so much value in lessons you learn from sports.
Conflict resolution.
Yes,
for
learning
sure.
to deal with loss and heartache and injuries and all of those things. So
perseverance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a great way to learn all of that stuff. Yeah. So then you were focused on that and then went to Marquette from there?
Yep. I played basketball at Marquette and originally went to school at Marquette thinking I was going to be a physical therapist.
Okay.
And work in like athletics and sports. And, throughout my path in undergrad, kind of discovered that I didn't necessarily want to be in that professionalized sports type arena. It's just a very different life once you get to that Division I collegiate level.
Oh, sure.
More of a business than fun. And so I looked at other options of, how else could I be a physical therapist? And I loved kids. I grew up, teaching Sunday school and around lots of kids and coaching and different things. And so I took a very part-time job at a pediatric physical therapy center and fell madly in love with children with special needs. And ultimately ended up switching to nursing and has been a pediatric nurse for the last 20 years. So
it's a long time. It's a lot of kids.
A lot of kids, yeah.
Well, and you love it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful to have found something that like aligns with who you are and be able to do that for so long. So many of us are like keep searching for that, and but when you find it and it is your thing, man, just do that forever. Yeah, that's great. So along that journey, how did you become a mom?
So I met my now husband my freshman year of college at Marquette on the basketball court. So we have a little love and basketball story, which is great. And we were, I think we dated for like 5 years before we got married, and then got pregnant right away. And after we got married, and had a rocky pregnancy with that one. I always say my oldest is my spicy one, and it was like from in utero. He was a little spicy, but ended up having my son Quentin in 2009.
Okay.
He was induced early because of some complications, and ultimately born via C-section on January 4th, and I still can remember that day. He's now 16, so quite a while ago, but I just remember like the overwhelming feeling of how much love your heart, like, it's like the Grinch, like your heart grew through sizes, right? Like, I don't think you realize the amount of love you could possibly have until that baby is in front, and you're like, holy cow. Like, I didn't know you could love something or someone this much.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and just to see my husband too, like, similarly, like, so infatuated with our baby boy was amazing.
Yeah.
So
Lucky baby.
Yeah,
But it's transformational, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, and so were you did you stay in the Milwaukee area?
Yeah,
then?
we stayed in the Milwaukee area for about 15 years. So we came to Madison about 10, 11 years ago.
Okay.
I ended up taking a position working for our state health department. So I worked as the policy section chief and state health plan officer for the Wisconsin Division of Public Health. And that moved us to the Madison area. And we love it. Like, we very intentionally looked for community. My husband's African American, so we are raising biracial children, and so wanting to find a community that was diverse and welcoming and supportive of that was really important for us. And we landed in Sun Prairie, and every community has their challenges, but I think for our family it's been a good fit.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so your son was born in 2009, and then how much younger is your second? You have two boys.
Yeah, I have a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old. So in between our two boys, I had an early miscarriage and ended up having a ruptured ectopic pregnancy that was kind of an emergency situation, unfortunately. But, was able to get pregnant with my second son shortly after that. And our son Christian was born in August of 2013, and he's a 7th grader in Sun Prairie schools, and he's my sugar. I have sugar and spice. So Quentin's my spicy one, and Christian's my sweet little sugary boy. He's little mama's boy. He's amazing. Yeah.
Those boys and their moms, I'm telling you. I know all about that.
Yeah, I like being a boy mom.
Yeah. It's very different. But so it feels like that love is like immediately reciprocated, something with the boys. I don't know. The girls too, but it's just different. Okay, so you've got two boys, and I want to just go back a little bit to the miscarriage piece, because this isn't, a platform to just really go on about that. We could, but I don't think we talk about that. Yeah. So, I had a miscarriage as well, and that's part of my journey too. And sometimes we just say it, and then somebody else might have experienced it, and then sort of move past that or move on. But
I'm happy to talk more. So it's interesting because, when I had my miscarriage and my ruptured ectopic pregnancy, I was working full-time in a leadership position. I was going to grad school to finish my PhD. Life was nuts, and I was raising I think my son was 3 maybe at the time.
That is a lot, by the way, just
it is a lot,
interject.
And the circumstances of them, and I think just the societal stigma and the lack of conversations around it kind of made me, I think, grieve in silence. And then I think the world just tells you, like, move on, try again. And so I didn't really take a lot of time to, like, process or grieve those losses at the time. It wasn't until our daughter Alana, who's in this beautiful picture here, she was stillborn in 2019, and that was a very, very different experience, very different phase of my life, and a very, very difficult loss that will be with me forever. But it was interesting because my son Quentin, who was 10 at the time, very smart kid, like smartest kid I know. He was, listening, observing like he always does, and one of the nurses must have asked about my pregnancy history, and I had shared about the 2 previous losses. And he later on asked me about them. He's like, so there were 2 other babies? And I'm like, yeah, there were. And he's like, well, what are their names? And I'm I don't know. I didn't even think at that time that was the thing you could do, and you certainly can. And so, I sort of processed the grief for all three of my babies at the same time. Like finally, after so all those years, gave myself permission to grieve that I have 2 living children and 3 babies in heaven. And 1 in 4 women experience pregnancy and infant loss, so it is very common.
Very common.
And something people don't talk about. There's so much stigma around grief in general in our society, and especially around pregnancy loss, because for so many it's an invisible loss. Like if you didn't see, hear, feel, touch, smell a living child, sometimes it's hard for people to process how difficult that can be. And I often like to say that from the moment you even begin to think about having a baby, you love that baby with all your heart. And so it's still a loss.
I remember not wanting to, I didn't want to tell anybody. No. I didn't even want people to know I was pregnant, really. And we had just told, and I was 8 weeks, and we just told, and I had a 6-month-old at the time. So, but I like stayed home for a few days from work because I was back at work. And I didn't want it, like when I went back, I just didn't want people to know because I didn't want to talk about it or have them ask me, or I have public emoting issues anyways, but like for sure I just did that. And my husband at the time too was grieving, but we didn't really talk about that either. It just was left at the hospital, and that was that. So,
well, when I had my miscarriage, I remember, we were so excited because we had, we were trying for a second child, and we got pregnant right away. And I was traveling to a conference in California, and on the airplane ride I started cramping.
Oh my gosh. I
got to the hotel room in LA and went to the bathroom and just, blood and all the things. Called my doctor, and, she said, well, it sounds like you're having a miscarriage. There's not much we can do. And like an hour later, I was at the conference reception.
Oh my gosh.
Like just pretending like everything was okay. And that, again, I felt like that was like what you had to do. And but I just remember feeling so alone because my husband wasn't there. Like I just got this devastating news. I was new in my position, which is for the reason I went to this conference. And so I didn't know a lot of people there. And it was really lonely. Yeah, it was really lonely. I remember I came home and I cried with my husband a little bit, but then it was like, okay, move on. And I didn't really, take the time to acknowledge that and process that very well. But I encourage people to do.
And as long as we're talking about it, I mean, there is, it's such a dichotomy because it's like you do have to move on. You do have this life, you do have these other things that you have to do and people counting on you. But at the same time, it's important and healthy and necessary to grieve the loss.
Absolutely.
And then it's like, how do you do that? People don't know how to do that because we are so good at experiencing something like that inside and sitting across from somebody else and just being okay for them. So that is, that could maybe start when kids are young, teaching them that. It's a balance, it's a balance.
Absolutely.
Take care of you and take care of them. So,
parenting after loss is it changes the way you parent for sure. Yeah, definitely. And I think now, especially with our daughter, who Alana would be.
Let's talk about
6.
Alana.
Yeah, I would love to talk about Alana.
Let's talk about Alana.
So Alana, I often refer to her as she was my bucket list baby. So in 2017, I thought I was finally an adult and living my life. I'd finished my PhD. I got my dream job as a nursing professor at UW-Madison. I wasn't in school anymore, so I wasn't balancing work and school. I had these 2 beautiful boys who were, about 10 and 5. And life was going really well. And I finally felt like, okay, I'm like settled into normal adulthood. I just have a job and I have kids and, and that lasted about 3 months.
Well, we wouldn't want it to go on and on.
Right. Because I started having some numbness in my face.
Oh, no.
and I ended up finding out that I have a rare brain tumor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and unfortunately now, knock on wood, like it's stable, it's benign, it causes my face to be numb and some other things, but it's not killing me like we thought maybe it could, at least not yet. And so that sort of just turned our world upside down. And so, my husband and I, in processing all of that, decided we don't know the future. There's not a lot known about the type of tumor that I have. We didn't quite know what the future was going to look like, so we sort of lived our bucket list. And one of those things was we wanted to try to have a girl or another child, because I didn't know if I was going to have radiation or surgery, if it was going to impact anything. So we tried to get pregnant. And again, I think it was like the second month we tried, and we got pregnant. And we're so happy. We got pregnant. This is our bucket list baby. And then I probably 18 weeks, I think, we found out it's a girl. And we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I had a fairly normal, healthy pregnancy comparatively to my boys. And everything was going well. And because I have a brain tumor, I was being followed closely. Not so much that the tumor was going to impact my pregnancy, but sort of vice versa. But so I was being followed very closely, had very frequent ultrasounds and visits, and everything, pretty stable. And on the weekend of February 23rd of 2019, that Saturday we had a baby sprinkle. So I don't know if you've heard of that, like a baby shower, but like a sprinkle. Since we already had two kids, my friend threw a baby sprinkle so we could get girl stuff, because
so
I know, I'm I'd never heard of it before, but I'm like, that sounds great. Let's do it. So just to sprinkle some girl stuff into our life. So we had that, and since we were getting dressed up to do that, we did our maternity pictures that morning. So we did family maternity pictures, went to our baby sprinkle. The next day on Sunday, we got the keys to our new house. So, we're moving into a bigger house to make room for our growing family. I think the week before we had gotten the minivan, finally broke down, got the minivan. We were sort of, everything was falling in place. I was 8 months pregnant. And then that Monday, I went for a routine checkup. Everything looked great. I had an ultrasound, non-stress test. Everything was wonderful. And that day I went to work at UW-Madison. I taught health policy and, got done teaching, came home, took a little nap on the couch because I was a little tired, and then went over to our new home. And I remember sitting at this little coffee table we have in our kitchen, watching my husband and the boys haul in all the stuff. And because I was 8 months pregnant, so I wasn't doing a whole lot. And a lot of what they were bringing were all the presents from the baby shower. So I just remember sitting there thinking wow, this is so exciting. We got our new house. We're having our baby girl. It just filled with so much joy. We went back to our old home and did the sort of bedtime routine, read the stories, and sat in the rocking chair next to my kids' bunk beds. And again, I remember just sitting there watching them sleep and just feeling very pregnant, but very happy. And I started getting sharp pains in my stomach. And those pains went from did I eat something bad, to doubled over in excruciating pain within minutes. And so ultimately, we ended up calling an ambulance, got to the hospital, and it was kind of a blur, a whirlwind. I don't remember a whole lot because what I found out after the fact was that I had a acute total placental abruption.
Oh my gosh.
And it's called concealed, so I wasn't bleeding. I didn't have any bleeding or warning signs. It was just a instant abruption. And as a result of that trauma in my uterus, my body reacted to try to stop the bleeding, and I went into what's called disseminated intravascular coagulation, or DIC, which essentially means all my clotting factor in my body went to the wound to try to heal it, and then I started bleeding internally.
Oh my
gosh. I remember being on the table in the ER and being repositioned and feeling like my water broke.
Okay.
Like the gush of fluid, and then
Sure.
looking and just seeing a pool of blood.
Oh my gosh.
And so I lost 4.7 liters of blood, which is a near total blood loss.
Oh.
It took 15 units of blood products to keep me alive.
Oh my goodness, Kim.
And all this was happening, this emergency obstetric situation, while my husband was in the corner with my boys in their pajamas watching.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a very traumatic experience for our whole family, you know, a
Yes.
10 and a 5-year-old and my husband.
Oh
And
my gosh.
again, that weekend we just had the baby shower.
Unreal.
We just got the keys to our new house. I had a normal checkup that morning, and 12 hours later, our life just completely turned upside down. But thankfully, we delivered at Merida Hospital, and they were wonderful. They had what was called a cuddle cot. Most people don't know what cuddle cots are, but cuddle cots, they're infant cooling systems, so they're essentially like a wrap that helps to keep the baby's bodies cool,
Okay.
to kind of keep them preserved so that families have time to spend with
sure.
their baby when they pass. And so we were able to, when I was woken up from the ICU, they asked if we wanted to see our baby. And, at first, this was all a blur in my mind.
Have known what
I remember
was even...
this sweet old nurse who came in, and she's like, good morning, how you feeling? And, I'm still a little out of it. And she's like, would you like to see your baby? And I'm like, yeah, of course I would.
Oh my gosh.
And
yeah.
I'm thinking, like, and I'm a nurse, so I'm like, I know kind of glimpses of what happened, and it seemed like things weren't
Right.
I remember them saying, I'm sorry, we can't find a heartbeat. I remember them saying that, but I was thinking, like, maybe they saved her. I don't know. So I was just, like, so excited. They brought her in. I remember holding her, and it literally took me probably 15 seconds to realize that she was not alive.
Oh my gosh.
But she was the most beautiful little girl. You can see from the picture.
Yes.
She was
She's
4
beautiful.
pounds, 1 ounce, 19 and a half inches long, curly black hair like her brother's, and just a beautiful little angel girl. But I ended up staying in the hospital a few days. My husband had to finish our move while I was in the ICU. So it was pretty overwhelming. And I'm very fortunate that I had lots of support, lots of people around me that just kept us sustained through those really difficult times. And the nursing staff at Merida were incredible. I actually put in Alana's obituary that, thank you to Merida Hospital. The doctors saved Kim's life, and the nurses saved her soul. They were just incredible people who helped us through the worst days. So,
my goodness, that is very sad. It's just very hard and very sad.
it was very hard. It was very hard.
I mean,
still hard,
and
yes.
forever.
Yeah.
But man, those not even know and then come out of that and have to realize, man.
Yeah, and I think again, I mentioned earlier that it changes how you parent. My kids had a front row seat to witness all of this, and kids grieve and process things differently based on their age and development. And for my 10-year-old, he took it really hard. He was smart. He was observing and listening to what was happening. And aware. And my husband told me that he actually is the one that told my husband what happened. He had heard the word placental abruption and Googled it, researched it, and then told my dad what happened to the baby.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a lot harder on him. My 5-year-old, I think he was more concerned about me. He saw mommy.
Makes sense,
he couldn't quite wrap his head around, I think, the fact of like a baby, that wasn't real yet to him.
Sure.
But as he grew, your grief changes as you grow. So that's an important thing to know about, like, how kids grieve. Like, they need different things at different stages, and it evolves over time. So I think it probably took like 2 years before he started asking questions and really trying to seek to understand what happened to his little sister a little bit more. And And then, of course, I'm crazy overprotective now because, you know, I think once you lose a child, you don't want that to happen again.
No.
And I apologize a lot to my kids about that because I'm like, I know I'm way overprotective, but I buried one child. I'm not burying anymore. So sorry.
Yeah. Or you can't go. Yeah.
Yeah. But she's still our daughter. I'm still her mom. I've learned how to mother my kids on earth and my kids in heaven in different ways. I think that's an important thing because that love never doesn't die.
No.
You know.
Do you have anything you can share maybe about how you do that? Or I know it's personal to you, but most people don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were not a parent of a child who had passed before that, you know, that you had. And so you had to learn that.
Yeah.
And you're very educated, you know, and you were a mom of 2 already. And so everybody's having their own experience and they might not know where to start or how to do that.
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying everyone's journey is different.
Yes.
Everyone's, situation is differently, but sort of in general, from like my experience and knowing other families who've grieved, I think one of the first things to do is, acknowledge that child still lives, still mattered, and find your people. There's going to be people in your life who try really hard to support you and will show up and be there. And there's going to be others who just don't know how or can't or are not willing. And that can be really hard, the relationships that change from that experience. I remember a friend of mine who I hadn't talked to in like 20 years from high school. She sent me like custom jewelry with my baby's names on it.
Gosh.
People you didn't expect would show up. And then I had people that I thought would be the first ones at the door who weren't, So find your people. And there's, in the Madison area, there's a great group called Bereaved Parents of Madison.
Okay.
They provide a monthly support group. They have a free book distribution. You can request free books to help. They have a Hugs program, which provides like one-on-one peer mentoring from a bereaved parent to help support you through your loss. They do a lot of really great things, and they've been around for a very long time in this area. The second is try therapy or support groups. Support groups and therapy aren't for everyone, but they can be really helpful if it is something you're able to do. Just to know that you're not alone, because again, 1 in 4 women experience this, and
you're not alone.
You are not alone, and there's people who get it and understand how hard it is. Because there's going to be people in the world who truly don't understand, and they can't unless they've experienced it. Like I often say, as a nurse. I've literally held other people's dying children in my arms and supported, parents as a nurse through loss. And that was hard, but even having that experience, it did not prepare me or make losing my own child any easier. And so it's something you really can't fully grasp the depth of that loss until you experience that. And my hope is you don't ever experience that.
Yeah.
And so you just have to realize that like not everybody gets it. People are going to say hurtful things, well-meaning things. Like my biggest advice is when you're talking to anyone who's grieving, don't ever use the words "at least."
Yeah. Oh, that's a very good point.
Yeah. Because it minimizes the loss. So, a lot of things that people commonly say is, well, at least they're not suffering. At least you could try again. At least you have other living children. At least. And those things really are not helpful. They're very hurtful. People are like, oh, you have an angel in heaven now. And it's like, well, which one of your kids do you want to give back to God?
Right.
It's not as beautiful as it sounds. It is, that all sounds well and good, but those sort of things really are not that helpful to people.
I found that in situations where I don't know what to say, because sometimes there just aren't things to say. I haven't experienced something, or somebody's going through something. I can have an understanding of that logically, but maybe I don't understand, first of all, from their perspective and their experience. So I will say that, you know what? I know, I can see this is difficult for you. I don't know what to say or do. tell me how I can help if I can help.
Yeah.
Because, and that has seemed to be, I mean, it took me a long time to get there.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm sure I said at least, I'm sure I did all, and I still probably do that to a degree, but it took me a long time to figure out, like, I really care about that person and I want them to know it, and I can't fix it.
Yeah.
Maybe they can tell me what I can do.
And that's exactly what I would recommend is, you know, if you don't know what to say, I don't know what to say. I'm here for you. My heart aches for you. You know, you don't have to go through this alone. When you're ready, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Because the other thing, a lot of times people are like, I remember so many people reaching out to saying, like, how can I help you? How can I help you? And
You don't know.
as a person, you're like, oh, this is wonderful, but like, I don't know what I need.
I just want my
and
baby.
it became like stressful to think of things that people could help me with.
Yeah, now you're the organizer.
Like,
of
oh my gosh, like, what can I ask them to do, you know?
That's a great point,
And
too,
so some of the best support I got after my daughter died was people who just showed up and did stuff. You know, people who came with meals, people who said, I'm taking the boys out for the weekend so you can rest. I'm coming over to clean your house. I'm cooking dinner tonight. Like, what do you want? You know,
because it takes that decision away
it
from you.
does. It makes it so I don't have to be the one to coordinate or think of things. Like, people who just showed up and did stuff was wonderful. But as far as you mentioned earlier, like, how do I parent my daughter in heaven, right?
Yes.
Getting back to that. Again, everyone's going to have different ways of doing that. I think, you know, there's lots of great ideas. You know, you can go online and search for like all sorts of ideas. Ask your ChatGPT friends. But, you know, finding ways to honor her in our life, you know, and there's different degrees of that. There's like every day I wear my Alana bracelet, and I have her picture as my screensaver on my watch. And so like she is visibly in my life every day. We try to visit her grave every week on Sunday. You know, like we have rituals and things we do to honor her. I have a shelf that has pictures and mementos. Like I have a space for her. You know, we talk about her, we say her name, we include her in our photos. We, you know, have a stocking up for her at Christmas. You know, like she is a part of our life in that regard. And then we also, I channel a lot of my like parenting energy and love for her into the foundation that we started in her memory. And that to me has been really healing, to be able to give back and to have a place to put all this love that I have, that, you know, I forget who said it, but somebody famous, special, smart, said that, you know, grief is just love with nowhere to go, right? And so you have all this love that I want to do all the things with my daughter that I'm never going to get to do, you know. I want to, you know, braid her hair and help her pick out her first outfit for school and her Halloween costumes, and, you know, all of those milestones that, you know, I've lost as well. And so, you know, what do I do with that energy? We get to put that into the foundation work that we do in helping others, which is a gift that we are very grateful for. Do
you want to talk about the foundation?
Sure, I'd love to talk about the foundation. So my husband and I co-founded the Alana Rose Foundation in 2019. So we actually filed the paperwork at the six months after she died. So in August of 2019, and not really knowing what it was going to be, and we still are kind of evolving like the main purpose of it, but knew we wanted to have a named foundation to give back to the bereaved community. And so we've done lots of different things in the past 6 years. We have an annual butterfly ball. It's our fundraising gala. And it's a really special evening that we have to raise awareness and raise funds to support different projects that we do. We have a burial support program, so we raise funds to help cover funeral expenses for families, and so that's probably one of our most popular programs because, again, when your baby dies, you don't have life insurance for them. You know, there's extra expenses that you weren't prepared for, and so, you know, the last thing a bereaved parent should have to worry about is how to pay for a proper burial for their child, and so we try to offset that cost for families through that program. We have a cuddle cot ongoing fund to raise money to donate cuddle cots to hospitals that don't have them. So again, we were fortunate to have access to that, so we were able to hold our baby for 4 days after she died and use that time to create memories, take pictures, let family who wanted to come and see her do that. Without that, I've heard stories of parents who they gave birth in a hospital that didn't have those, and you know, they get a couple hours.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then you can't have your baby anymore, you know. And so that's been really nice. We've been able to donate a second one to Meriter because they're the largest birthing hospital in Wisconsin, and unfortunately occasionally do have more than one loss at the same time. And like, how do you choose, right? Who gets the cuddle cot, who doesn't? So they now have a second one. We've donated one to Harambe Village Community Doula program, so they have it for their home losses, and you know, working on raising money for our third donation. We do an ongoing like awareness. We call it our angel display. So people can submit their baby's names, and we honor them on our website. And then anytime we have an in-person event, we'll read their names and say their baby's names out loud. We do an annual awareness event in October called the Empty Stroller Awareness Walk.
Yes, I remember you talking about that.
And you know, just a way to bring families together during October, which is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and do a lot of education and outreach and advocacy work. So one of the big policies we're working to advocate for right now is the Wisconsin stillbirth tax credit, to provide a one-time tax credit to families who have a stillborn baby, so that they have some financial relief to help support the extra expenses and time off work that comes with having a baby that's stillborn. Because that's another one of those hits that, like, when your baby is stillborn, they don't get a birth certificate, they don't get a death certificate. They don't count according to the state of Wisconsin. They're not, you know, when you fill out your taxes and you claim your dependents, they're not there. And so it's that tax credit is about, you know, the financial relief, but also the acknowledgement that, according to the state, that those babies existed and mattered.
Does that exist in other states?
It does.
Oh, it
does. I
does.
think there's like 9 or 11 other states that have that.
That's good.
So it's growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have that already, so you can.
Yes.
There's precedent for that and have that support. So the stroller walk is in October. It's October right now. Now this we don't always air like the same day, so we talked a little bit about this date-wise. And is that local here in
in Monona?
Oh, in Monona. Okay.
Yeah, we usually do it the first weekend of October.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so coming up.
Yeah.
Coming up right now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And how far is it? And
it's not like a timed walk run.
Just in honor.
Just in honor. Yeah. So we do a little ceremony. We do the walk. We have like a bounce house and fun stuff for the kids, and it's just like a family picnic and get together with other families and supporters to acknowledge our babies and find community.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Are you working also?
I do. Yep. I'm now a nursing professor at Marquette University. So I went back home.
You're driving back the other way. Yeah.
I went back home to Marquette where I did my undergrad and master's program, and I work a lot from home though, so it allows me time to balance a little bit.
Good. Yeah. That teaching thing. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy teaching nursing students, and I do research supporting family caregivers, mostly kids with special needs, so I still work with my kiddos in different ways now.
And your siblings you're all still family, big family thing going on?
Yeah, our family gatherings are...
They must be massive now.
Yeah, I think last I counted, I think it's like if my brothers and sister come with their spouses and their children, like the immediate kids and grandkids, I think there's 37 of us. So like Christmas, Easter, those, it's a pretty big party, yeah. So it's fun though, but they're all still in Wisconsin.
Oh, good.
Some in central Wisconsin, some in like the Fox Valley area, but not too far away.
One thing that I wanted to bring up earlier that I forgot that I just thought of talking about siblings and stuff is is your boys. And just to point out that this is just this is an example of not knowing what kids may be going through. And I just wanted to highlight that because kids are going through all kinds of stuff, and parents are all kinds of parents. And I think it's just important to highlight that, because we don't walk through life thinking that the kid in your child's class may be going through something like that. And so just having some grace for that.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Actually, this past weekend I attended an event that a friend of mine, who unfortunately also had her baby died. She was born, lived a few weeks in the NICU and died. She had a child who was, I think he was 3 or 4 when her daughter died, and she was really struggling to find support for her son, and so she decided to start an organization called Siblings Among the Clouds. So she does a lot of support for the siblings of pregnancy and infant loss, and they had their first inaugural fun run this past weekend. And so I've been reflecting on this a lot recently, and we try to involve our children in things as well. There's some great resources again in Wisconsin. Camp Hope was wonderful. It's a great camp for grieving children. We, have had our kids in therapy. They're involved in a lot of the foundation stuff. But I remember when they went back to school, my oldest, again, who I think it was the hardest on because of his age at the time, I specifically remember one day he came home and he was really sad because their assignment in school was to write a short story about what, pick a person they'd want to spend the day with and describe what they would do with that person for the day. Like imagine a fun day with the person you love. And all he could think about was his sister and how he wanted to spend a day with her. And so, then we had to talk to the teachers and the schools and just give him a heads up that because I guess he cried and the teacher wasn't aware of what was happening. And so, there's that sensitivity. Kids are grieving. Kids are,
and you don't know.
You don't know.
So kindness matters.
And even when people ask, it's the first week of school. It's always tell me about your family. Who do you live with? How many brothers and sisters? Do you have pets? And I think that question is always it's
the all about me poster.
The all about me poster. Do I include my sister? Well, what if they ask about her? What do I say? And so sometimes they include her, sometimes they don't. And and even with me, when people ask me how many kids do you have, it depends on the situation, who it is, and how much energy I have that day. Sometimes I have 2 boys. Sometimes I'm I have 2 living boys and a daughter in heaven. Sometimes I will phrase that differently depending on the circumstances, but it's a loaded question, and I think for the kids too, to say how many brothers and sisters do you have is, I'm not sure what they say all the time.
Yeah, and they're still navigating it, and then at every age, and I mean, even 2019, sometimes that feels far away, sometimes it feels like it was just here, and even as the mom, you're growing and trying to understand that at different stages, and so are the kids. I mean, at 5, you don't even know, you don't know anything, except what's in front of you, and so when you're 10 and you remember when you were 5, now you have to process that in a different way. And so,
well, and my son Quentin has done 2 really cool things to honor his sister, so I have to brag about these a little bit. So, one of the things, as he was processing his grief very shortly after our daughter died, he came to me and said he wanted to get some origami paper because he had heard of the story of 1,000 cranes, that if you make 1,000 origami cranes, you get granted a wish from the gods. And he wanted a wish to wish his little sister to be alive. And my mom heart was and so I talked to him and I said, I wish it would bring her back. It's not going to bring her back, but if this is something you want to do, we can do this. And so he wanted to do it, and he made 1,000 paper cranes.
He did it?
He did, yes. And then he is he's now actually officially sold all 1,000 of them.
Oh my gosh.
As ornaments to raise money for the foundation.
I love this.
I told him he's got to make another 1,000 now. So we'll see. He's
really
16 now, so I don't know if he's like wanting to do that. But now, as a 16-year-old who's obsessed with shoes, he's a sneakerhead. He was in this great program through CEOs of Tomorrow last year. It was an entrepreneurial program, and they had to pick a social cause and develop a business around it. And so he's big into basketball, he loves shoes, and so he came up with this business concept that he calls Laced for Life, and it's custom shoelaces with positive messages for mental health. And
this kid.
Yeah. And super cool idea. So it's like, you
I
know,
love this.
you are enough and trust the process and all these things on laces. And I'm like, will you make me some Alana laces? So now he has an offshoot of that that's angel laces. So I'm wearing my Alana shoes that say Alana Rose, our angel. And so we sell these to raise money for the foundation so people can get custom laces that, you know, some say like mom of an angel or grandpa of an angel or brother of an angel or Sophie's mom or, you know, whatever they want to just, you know, walk with their child wherever they go. So yeah, it's really cool. So he's found ways, like tangible ways to like put into his grief, which is really cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What an amazing kid.
Yeah, he's pretty great. He drives me crazy a little bit because he's a teenage boy, but
I mean,
if I strip all that away,
it's a balance.
He's my spicy one, remember?
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked so much about this, but you can never talk enough about it. And I think you should, you know, maybe talk a little bit about how people can get involved or and they don't necessarily have to live here to be involved.
Absolutely.
They can go to your website. So I'm going to let you, if you want to talk to them directly, you can talk to the camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just let them
yeah. If, you know, I would just say if you or somebody you know has experienced a loss, please reach out. If I don't have the resources or supports to help you, I can connect you to supportive resources. So you can learn more about all the work that we do at the Alana Rose Foundation at alanarose.org. You know, you can email us. We got social media posts. You can follow us on Instagram. You know, again, reach out and I'll help connect you and find you the right supports that you need based on your situation. And you don't have to just be in Wisconsin. We have, you know, help people across the country, even internationally. Wow. So, you know, if you're struggling, and it doesn't matter if your loss was last week, last year, 10 years ago, you know, they say grief is a reflection of love, and love lasts a lifetime, and so does grief. And so, you know, whatever stage you're in, we've had, you know, grandparents who have not been able to, because of the time when they had their loss, process their grief, that have wanted to now find a space to share and honor their babies. So it's never too late to grieve and honor that and process that. So reach out anytime for support, and we're here. You're not alone.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. And we will put the website on the screen as well, so people can reach out to you.
Great.
Before we wrap up, do you have anything else you want to say to parents or people that are watching?
Yeah, I covered a lot. I think one of the sentiments that I'd like to, share with others, regardless of what their traumatic experience is as a human or a mom, you know, we all go through things. And when our daughter died, truly our world fell apart, you know, and it took me a long time, and I'm still, you know, it's still hard. But what I have learned is that when your life falls apart, you have this beautiful gift, this opportunity to decide what pieces you want to pick up and how you want to put them back together again. And so I'm a very different human from before my daughter died. And so there are gifts and things I'm grateful for from that experience. So I would trade them all for my daughter.
Of course.
So, you know, but I just say, like, when you feel broken and damaged and like your whole world is in crumbles around you, like, don't give up. There's people out there to help you, and just take one piece at a time, one day at a time, sometimes one breath at a time, and you know, you'll get through it.
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting here today as an example. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on here. And I'm so happy to learn about Alana and
Thank you.
give space to talk about her. And so, yeah, I hope people reach out, you know, if they're in a space where they need to do that. And thank you for providing that.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And
Of course.
I'm always happy to talk about Alana or any of my kids. Being a mom is the hardest job.
No doubt.
The hardest job I've ever had.
And you've done some things.
And I've done some hard things, yes. It is my toughest job that I'm not the best at. But it's the greatest job.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel so blessed to be a mom to all my kids. So,
okay, thank you for that.
thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Remember to keep your perspective, but don't be afraid to step into someone else's like we have with Kim today. No matter how hard that is, you will grow as a person and you can be there for people in new ways. Be resilient, continue to show up. You need that, your kids need that, the world needs that. Continue to have goals and aims so that you know the direction you're headed. So always continue to pursue things. And remember that you're not alone. There are 2 billion of us worldwide raising the world, basically. So we are here for you. Thank you.